X-Men 97.
Yes.
It was heat. It was heat. I mean, the whole show's heat. Top
Yeah,
to bottom, start
the
to finish
show's
every
been
week.
amazing. I
Seeing
mean,
Rogue on a rampage.
yeah.
Little Thunderbolt Ross cameo.
Yeah. As soon as I saw the name tag of Ross, I was like, oh, Red Hulk.
Yeah, the way they use that as well is just him like, need I remind you, this facility was built to house the Hulk. I'm not worried about some sewer rat.
Dunk. Yeah, and you're like, it's built to keep the Hulk in, not necessarily to keep a Hulk out. But yeah, that rampage was sick, and the whole way of watching. Again, we've said it with like multiple times with how they've animated different mutants and how they've fought. I feel like they just got to have fun with Rogue going like on rampage mode.
Absolutely.
But then for that to all like eventually, obviously skipping a bit ahead, but like we get all that, and then it gets to the point where like she suddenly is the team find her and she faces all that like grief, and it's just like heart-wrenching.
Yeah, absolutely heartbreaking. I also, going back to Remy's funeral, I loved that Kurt did the service.
Yes,
I think that was a stroke of genius. It was actually a really like beautiful service.
Yeah, it was so well written.
Yeah, really, really well put together. I hope we like. Obviously, Gambit doesn't stay dead in the comics, and this is all at least loosely adapted from the comics.
Yeah.
I wonder how long we have to wait before we get him back. Is it a next season type beat, or is it the culmination of this season?
So we've only got 3 episodes left, right? I think it's a 10-episode season.
Maybe there's only 9 episodes.
I think it's 3.
2 seconds. X-Men 97 episodes.
So I have a feeling like the last few are all like part 1, part 2.
No, there's 9 episodes.
Okay.
Next week and the week after are part 1 and part 2.
Gotcha. Knowing how we've kind of theorized that there's obviously going to be maybe a bit of a time loop thing, I don't think that is solved this season. Maybe right at the end, it kind of alludes to this idea of like, we can try again. And then season 2 unravels all that, and then maybe Gambit can come back in season 2. I don't think we get him back in this season.
Is it possible that, as we find out, Magneto isn't dead? Is it possible that Gambit's in the same situation? Do you think?
I don't know. Just because it's like how we saw Gambit die, where we didn't see Magneto.
The cardinal rule of animation: if you don't see the body, they're not dead.
The fact that we watched Gambit die and then Rogue grieve his dead body, it's like it's a bit harder to just be like, psych, he's not dead.
Yeah. No, fair.
But yeah, so maybe next season, maybe they do reset it somehow.
What did you think of the big reveal that Sinister isn't actually the big bad?
Yes, I have no idea who this other guy is. Also, the voice of this big bad.
Bastion, yeah.
Is that what he's called? Okay.
Yeah.
The voice of Bastion. I have not looked to confirm this, but like, I was like, why do I recognize this voice? And I haven't fully figured it out. It almost sounds like Hemlock from Bad Batch.
I don't think it is. Theo James is the voice of Bastion. Theo James is a very famous actor. Has he done anything else? No, I think this is like the first proper voice actor.
He just, I guess, maybe just like has a similar.
It's horror. You're falling victim to the American trap here of evil guy with British accent.
It probably is, but it was just like, I think because we're watching Bad Batch so much as well at the moment, it was just like, why does this voice sound so familiar? Okay, well, it wasn't him, but yeah, I had no idea who that is because I'm not that clued up on like X-Men villains.
Bastion isn't someone that I'm particularly familiar with either. I believe he's some kind of Sentinel something hybrid.
Okay,
That's
that
like mega mutant racist.
gotcha. That makes
Um,
sense with like the
yeah.
advanced Sentinels.
What I will say is Bo DeMaio has said on Twitter
Mm.
that Bastion's been there all along, and if you go back and rewatch every episode other than episode 3, you can see him.
Oh shit.
So
Okay.
apparently he's been hidden in plain sight the entire time, which is fucking awesome.
Well, if he's because I'm guessing OZT is all like government backed.
It's government backed or just like people with government training,
Okay.
government
Resources
equipment who are anti-mutant. It's like
yeah,
like
they've got a
splinter.
secret thing going on. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me.
Like the American police and the KKK.
I mean, fair comparison, but damn. Yeah, so okay, that makes sense why it could be like hidden in plain sight then, because if he's just like with military people, we're not going to question it, are we?
Exactly. So that it's kind of cool that they thought enough to like sprinkle in him.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, he's in every episode other than episode 3. You'll be able to see him.
Okay.
So that's cool. I just love this show so much. I was right that we'd get Cable coming back in this episode.
Yes, this time to Cyclops, and then he realizes it's his son.
Yeah. It's. Do you know what I've realized this series has done so well, and like it makes complete sense. This isn't groundbreaking news to anyone who's watched it. A lot of X-Men stuff in our lifetime has been centered around Wolverine.
Yes.
This show refuses to let itself be centered around Wolverine. It's like, no, the X-Men are equals. It's not Wolverine and his friends, it's the X-Men.
Yeah, no, this show's been solely focused on mutants versus humans, which is actually what a lot of the X-Men always has been.
Everyone's got a bit of screen time. They're doing different stories. Everyone's getting their own bits. Phenomenal. Also, can we talk about just the perfect example of the X-Men being an allegory with Sunspot telling his mother he's a mutant?
Yes.
Is that entire conversation, could you not just change I'm a mutant to I'm gay and that conversation be basically identical?
But, oh yeah, we knew.
We always knew. A mother knows, but we have to keep it very quiet because of company and your
certain members of the family wouldn't approve or something like that. Yeah.
And acquaintances will have to be a bit more discreet. It's like
it's always, I feel like with those sort of stories, both in real life and when they're done in media, it's always like either parents knew, everyone's happy that it's just out in the open, or like what we got in this is parents knew, but we still need to keep it hush hush. And then it's like the kid or whatever coming out, in this case, like him revealing he's a mutant, he's like, oh, you knew? Okay, this makes this so much better. And then the parent goes, but we still need to give this hush hush. It's like, oh, you're not as accepting of this as I thought.
You don't actually love me as much as I hoped you would. You don't love me enough to sacrifice some money for the company.
Yeah. I think maybe now he's done that. Maybe he leans more into we get to see his powers and he joins more of the X-Men because he realizes he can't actually be his true self at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we talk about America's ass himself?
Yeah. The Captain America cameo was dope.
It was so well done. It gave me big, you know, in the MCU films when they find the secret old bunker for
in Winter
Hydra
Soldier,
in Winter Soldier, yeah. It gave me those vibes of when he's like discovers that place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting because I like to think that while Captain America is supposed to be like American through and through,
yeah,
I also don't like the idea of him feeling a need to like follow red tape. So I feel like him going, we've got to do this one by the book, right? Blah 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 blah. I don't know how faithful a characterization I feel like that is. I feel like if Captain America saw on the news a bunch of civilians just got obliterated, he wouldn't be going, no, we have to do this the right way. He'd be like, Rogue, let's just try not to kill people. But let's smash some skulls and get some answers.
I suppose it's a bit like, yes, he's not necessarily by the tape. I think it's more a case of he can't just go waltzing in. Like, even Captain America, he has like a certain thing of like, he can't just openly go waltzing into a country and start beating people up just to find someone. Like, yes, he won't necessarily stick to what the government wants and he'll find his way of doing it, but he's also quite, he makes sure not to, he understands his image and he can't just be like in a street somewhere beating someone up.
Yeah, I get that to an extent.
I think
to an extent I get that.
Oh, we don't know what the like stage of life this Captain America could be in this.
True.
This world.
He might not have had his kind of, the government really can't be trusted.
Yeah, maybe he still thinks they're doing the government's in the right.
Maybe. But it was very cool to see him nonetheless.
I love that Rogue was just like, oh, you're not going to help me? Screw you, and just yeets the shield into the mountains.
Throwing the shield into the mountains is fucking hilarious. And that's why we love Rogue. I was surprised we didn't get a reappearance from Storm in this episode. Or Charles.
I think it wanted to focus... I'm not too surprised by that, because I think it wanted to focus on Rogue obviously going through her grief. And then it needed to reveal who this actual big bad is, ready for this 2-part finale. I think Charles coming back might be like at the end of this season, Charles and Magneto both reappear and they're like, wait, what the fuck, you both meant to be dead, you're here. And then there's and maybe Storm at the same time, and it's like the 3 old heads, OG, like, are back to kind of reset things. I don't know.
Yeah. The Bolivar Trask genuinely feeling guilty for what his machines did was an interesting one.
Yeah, not one you suddenly like, hang on, was he just puppeted and now do I feel bad for him?
Because it's a tricky one, because it's like, well, you did come up with the Sentinels and they were a danger to mutants.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of double downs on the idea that he doesn't view what he initially did as bad, because he viewed it as just protecting humanity.
Yeah.
And then his shield got turned into an assault rifle.
Yeah, it's that thing of like...
It was never really a shield.
This was... My belief was I'm making this to protect humans from when mutants try to just go mental. And mutants could agree. In a perfect world... That's a fair thing to build. Even mutants would probably say it's actually quite a good thing to have. If one of us Omega levels goes mental, we need some way of stopping them. But then it's like, it's government backed. The government takes everything and turns it into, how can we use this as a weapon?
And then you get these super masterminds in Mr. Sinister and that coming in and going,
twist things.
What if we made it?
It'd be like, no, your
Godzilla.
things... Well, it's like, oh, your idea is perfect. Yes, let's keep building this, and then they put their own thing into it that lets them just be like, oh, turn off all filtering.
Just go to the island full of mutants and kill them all. Like, seeing Beast get a little bit more, a little less diplomatic, shall we say, was interesting as well with the news reporter.
Yeah, well, he was like, we almost saw like a, oh, Beast has a bit of an interest in this reporter. He's pleased to see her. And then suddenly he realizes everything's just politics to his people. And he's like, okay, I'm sick of your politics.
Fun fact. In recent years in the comics, Beast has been a bit of an evil bastard.
Oh.
I believe in recent years he's been like very radical and like doing horrific experiments and just being genuinely kind of evil. So that's why I've always preferred X-Men, not X-Men like the old animated and now 97, because it's Beast being what I think of as Beast as, yes, he's got all of the fucking brawn on planet Earth, but he'd still rather have a conversation and try and talk it out.
Yeah, I like kind of how they're almost portraying what scientists often are like, is they'll play a bit of politics, but they're always sick of politics. Because it's like, no, that science is science. Why are we bringing politics into this?
Yeah, he sat there mindset. And he's learnt from Charles for years, and he's like, no, we can do this. I believe in humans. Beast is of the mutants one of the most at danger because he's so obviously a mutant. It's not like Jean or Wolverine who can kind of walk around and get away with it.
Yeah.
But he's always tried to have conversations. The big arc from season 1 of X-Men, the original show, was he got arrested wrongfully. And at any point, he was strong enough to just break out of prison. But he waited in prison to win at trial to prove that he was innocent.
How he saw it the right way.
Yeah. Exactly. So seeing him get to the point where he's almost like, why are we having to beg for your acceptance? It's kind of setting up, and I know I kind of said this a little earlier, like I don't know if they're trying to like find a little speed run route to the Krakoan age. It's almost like everyone's just got a little bit more radical because of what happened, and they're almost like, maybe Magneto wasn't right. I mean, Cyclops literally said that. He was like, Magneto warned us about this.
Yeah, and I mean, even the Cyclops bit when he's talking to the president, and he's like, well, I can't help you. Surely you'd rather I played politics so you got me in rather than someone who actually might be worse than me. And it's like, yeah, that's a fair point, but at this moment in time, I don't care about that.
You're not helping us right now. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think you could be right with the whole almost not quite speedrunning it, but definitely pushing them all in that direction of being a bit more radicalized.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what this double bill looks like, and obviously where that leads us going into season 2, which has already been written and is definitely happening.
Yeah, I think
I'd be amazed if we don't get more than 2 seasons with how phenomenally well this season's gone down. But we know season 2 has already been written.
Why do I feel like this season, with how the tone and some of these episodes have been, I don't know if we get a happy ending to the season.
I think we do.
I think we get X-Men find out about actual Big Bad. Big Bad does something else that absolutely screws them up. OG heads reappear from the dead. Like Charles and stuff. Cable ends with Cable being like, look, maybe there's a way we can redo this or something, or like explains like there's a chance to reset things, and it just ends there within like something's gone wrong, big chaos.
Do you want to know what my hot take is?
Go on.
So also in the 90s, we had a Fantastic Four and a Spider-Man cartoon.
You think they're going to show up?
And all of these shows did overlap. They were all seen as canon to the same universe.
Okay.
I've got a feeling that they want them to appear in the next season. And they've sprinkled in Captain America because that's easy to not cause too many issues, because Captain America, although he seems like it now, in the animated space is nowhere near as big an IP as the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. The series has done really well. They've done a cameo that works. And now in season 2, they're going to be like, we would like to see Spider-Man interact with the X-Men, because Spider-Man has a lot of interaction with the X-Men over the years. And we would like to see the Fantastic Four interact with the X-Men. I would not be surprised at all if we get that.
I think maybe they would have Fantastic Four. I think they're more likely to do maybe Spider-Man in season 2 and maybe save a Fantastic Four cameo that leans times a bit closer to the film coming out.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me either. I think they've now seen the value in doing detached animated projects when you're getting ready to bring these characters into the main timeline. Because the people who just started watching this kind of media because of the MCU might have given this a chance and gone, oh, these guys are sick.
What if, with the excited response of Captain America, and everyone was excited for his cameo, imagine we got like a spy Winter Soldier-esque style Captain America animated show.
Do you know what? I would be so up for a very slow release. Like, we don't need loads, like maybe 2 a year. Animated universe.
Yeah, build out
that
this.
Has little crossovers, not a lot of crossovers, but like what we're missing from the films right now is like these kind of day-to-day smaller stories. Have a little animated universe that tells them.
Yeah, it's easier to do as well because if
they don't need to be overly connected, so that people can just watch characters they want to watch. And do you know what that also is as well? If you get people watching them, that is much closer to picking up a comic book.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, considering how closely they're adapting the comics for this X-Men 97, they can do the same with other characters, and it helps, like you say, pull people into them want to read the comics.
A comic book adapts so beautifully into a 20-minute episode.
Oh yeah, it's just for animated in general, it just works so well.
And here's the thing, most comic runs that I've read, I've not read loads and loads of comics, each kind of story is 3 issues. If you were to do 12 episodes, you do 4 little arcs, and they move beautifully between them, and you just go on about your day, and it just goes together nicely. And like you said, you're setting people's brain up for how a comic book works then. You're giving them more content to these characters they're interested in an art style closer to what they'll see in a comic book. I'm not saying it's going to make Marvel sell 100,000 times as many comics. It's definitely going to sell them more comics, though. Absolutely.
I think they'll probably find this out after X-Men 97's done with season 1. There'll be some stat of like, have comic sales gone up for X-Men comics? And if it's like a significant amount, I think they will then be like, we should do more animated shows.
Yeah, absolutely. There is, it's good content, but it's also a brilliant way to get people to consume comic books.
Yeah.
Which, whether we like it or not, comic books is what created all this. We need to make sure that medium doesn't die.